Hey y'all! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see everybody. And good to see you, Duns. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 11
Wow.
of Say More.
Wow. Thank you for having me,
Yeah,
honey child Graham.
yeah, yes, yes.
Wow. So grateful.
Yeah, yeah. I know you know what this series is about, but for those that do not know, or maybe need a refresher, this is really about getting a chance for me to dive back in some of the older catalog. And at this point, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that 2018 was clearly like the year of Honeychild. um, and I just want to say up front that you were a large inspiration for me wanting to start something that allowed me to reflect on old catalogs because you do that as a pretty regular practice. Like I remember being in your car after rehearsals or going to gigs and you're constantly just listening to older Duns music.
Mm.
And that's something for me that's like like the cringe sets in very easily.
Yeah.
So Say More has been like a project that's I've been calling it sifting through the good, the bad, and the
Yeah.
cringe. But the important part of it is like, if we're not reflecting, we're not learning. And that's one of the most important things that we can do as artists. So I want to just give you your flowers for planting that seed within me to like learn from older Honeychild and some of the stuff that has come out from years and years ago. So thank you for that.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for lifting that up. Thank you for not telling me to turn the music down. Uh, and yeah, it's an honor to grow as an artist with you, BG, Honey Child, because it's, when I think about the work we've done together, when I think about the path you're on, iron sharpens iron. I've been inspired with you,
Mm.
blended your musicality, your vocals, your MCing, just, so I feel blessed to be here, and thank you for doing this series, and really growing in public as an artist for us all. So
Appreciate
um
that.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I know we don't want to do too much talking up front. We want to get to this song, which, I had to call back one of my favorite Black Boys because this song that we did together is called Black Boy Joy, parentheses, it's going to be all right. So it was something that you and I worked on, and I had to check and recheck the date because this was posted to SoundCloud in October of 2018. And for whatever reason, I had it in my mind that it was a little later, like maybe even 2019. But it's nice that we're back in that period. So we'll listen to the song Black Boy Joy. And then, like we do in this series, we'll reflect. We'll talk about it. We'll talk a little bit about the why, the where, the how, and all that good stuff. So thank you all to the those folks that are joining. We love to see it. We're about to play this song again. It's called Black Boy Joy. Parentheses, it's gonna be all right. Honeychild featuring Sterling Duns.
Wow.
Oh, uh,
Wow.
gets me emotional thinking about the message and listening back to the performance. Like this, yeah, this was special, Duns. This was really special.
Truly, truly, truly.
When's the last time for me? Today was the first time listening to this song probably since 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Another reason why this series has become so important because it's like I'm dusting the cobwebs off a lot of these tunes and remembering like, oh damn, I did that. Like it's a little bit of a celebration and remembering, all the things that felt important to me at that point in my life. Like it's really beautiful to listen back on. So yeah, it's been a while for me. When's the last time you listened to this?
Wow. Wow. The last time, I mean, I have this practice of listening, listening to some songs. So I listened to prep for today, and before then, it was probably within the last year, probably last year or two, that it just that yeah, the message. I just needed to hear the message,
Yeah.
and it's such a powerful message. It was such a, I know you're going to talk some about the origin, but just thinking about where we were when we wrote this, you know, in our lives and where the world was, and you know, it's become a balm, you know, like a reminder, a beautiful reminder, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. You had the vision, you had the beat. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's set the scene a little bit, and maybe you can like your puzzle pieces will fit my puzzle pieces. 'Cause, you know, my memory is not what it used to be, even for just 2018.
Right.
So yeah, so I will say we talked for a long time, being a part of the hard work movement crew. You know, I had to represent. We had talked a long time at that point in 2018. There were a good chunk of us from the collective that were starting or either shifting focus to solo project and solo works. So naturally what came out of that was like, oh, I want to do something with you, Duns. Like, what if you and I just let's get together and let's just see what happens. I very much remember this being that time of like just a lot of creative energy.
Yeah.
I know I was definitely in my rap bag at that point, like listening.
That's Honey Child was.
Hey now, hey now. So it's nice to remember that. Like I was really inspired by the MCs of hard work, and really wanting to branch off and continue to work on, you know, my pen a little bit. And so yeah, just naturally, you and I were thinking about ways that we could collab, and we were always jokingly. Um, so we were in the middle of kind of setting the scene and talking about how at this point of 2018, a lot of creative energy flowing and a lot of desire to want to collaborate, especially with each other. And so we recorded this at Rich Life Studio, which at that point was in North Philly. Folks that have been listening to the series know 2026 West Oxford. That's where Jay had his basement studio space. That's where we were living with some other family members and friends. And so that's where this happened. And we had played around with a lot of music to use and landed on kind of chopping up the song "It's Gonna Be All Right" from the trumpet player Theo Croker, which was awesome. I think it was one of those, like, we had played around with a couple different beats, and it was one of those ones where I think I was like, oh, this one would be good. It would be good to lyrically incorporate it,
Yeah.
and it would be good just sonically. It's just a very like danceable, upbeat kind of song, and that's the direction I think we want to take this song. Right? What do you remember from that moment?
Oh man, yeah, cause we were working on some. We had another beat, you know, and shout out to the producer, um, who had, I feel like, cooked up a few different beats, and I remember us working on another song, which I hope we'll get to do someday.
Yes.
But I do remember hearing this beat and being like, yeah, it felt alive. It felt alive. And in the verse, one, you know, you shared the theme, you know, and I think you had came up with the hook, you know,
Yeah.
and from there I just remember like the lyrics just coming, you know, black boy getting golden in the summertime, shimmerin, melanin, glimmerin with the sunshine. I
Yeah.
remember one life is giving me life, you know, though it just like the flow just came with like the energy of the beat for me, and you know, sort of retrospectively, I realized I saw Theo play a year before. We were in the studio at South, um, here in Philly, and it was, yeah. There's just something about that too, like getting to see him, the band, you know. Then
Yeah.
a year later, getting a chance to rap over a beat, like it all felt divinely ordered.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it was funny because we were just talking, and I was like, wait a minute, I also just saw him in 2017. So I guess he was just at the top of my mind by the time we had gotten together and put everything together for this song. So yeah, major shout out to Theo, to that album, Escape Velocity, I believe is the album that this song is on. At this point in 2018, I was also just getting used to like taking the helm in a studio space. And so major shout out to Jay, who was really like helping and mentoring me through what that was like to be in a studio space and, you know, use Pro Tools, use Logic, chop things up, use, you know, EQ and mix things. And so this one was largely something that I had worked to kind of chop a little bit. Didn't have to do much because the song is really, you know, a pretty basic form. But
Yeah.
yeah, the the sort of like one thing that I really like about this is that we have like that little post chorus, like tell them it's your world. And so if you listen to like the bridge of the song where it's gonna be all right, it's gonna be all right, the second time that repeats, you hear that post chorus kind of underneath, muted, and EQ'd. And that was something that I didn't, you know, I hadn't thought about. I was like, you know, I want to introduce that little theme earlier, but thank goodness Jay was there to kind of be like, oh, well, we can do it, but we can kind of just muffle it underneath. And then obviously when we get to the end of the song, we can bring it up and bring it more clear. So it ends on this note that I'm really happy about, but I'm happy about the way the production ended up as
Yes.
well.
Yes. And right, that post chorus, I love how it's the ways it's muted before it actually you actually hear it like fully up front. It's in the background, and it kind of once you if you listen to it more than once, you notice it, right? It like creates this and that yeah, those last four lines or three lines, you know, tell them it's your world and baby you deserve it. To all black boys you learn, you know, I guess it's four. There's something
Yeah.
like life life's joys and hurts. Is that
Like joys and hurts.
no?
Yeah.
There's something just beautiful about how the production matches the energy and the sentiments we try to express, you know, in the full song, you know, just like having this
Yeah.
be hidden. And it's a thing you'll learn. It's you'll learn this course eventually,
Yep.
right? Like it's in the back for you know black boys. You'll learn this lesson for better and for worse, and then it comes forward. So
Yeah.
it was a brilliant choice.
Yeah. I think just getting into the why a little bit, you know, it was I I think that that point in 2018, as I mentioned before, we got booted. That you know, being a part of hard work and getting a chance to feel so inspired by the MCs, those are like four beautiful black boys, black men that I was really getting to know on such a deep level. So for me, it was in part this period of being really inspired by the MCs through y'all's artistry, but also thinking about these are some of outside of my family members, these are some of the tightest black men that I have that have seen me at my most vulnerable. I've seen them at their most vulnerable because being in a group together and playing live music and rehearsing, you see each other's vulnerabilities,
Yeah,
and that takes a lot of trust and a lot of love.
yeah,
And so I think I was just empowered in that moment. So when it came time for us to sit down and start to write lyrics, yeah, the hook came first. You know, every shade, every flavor, every way you were made for. It's your world, yours to savor, yours to savor. Most high works in your favor. Who you love, it don't matter. Find your home, be a shelter, and so on and so forth. So I'm just thinking about these elements of something I would want to tell the black men or the black boys in my life. So that's kind of the why for me. Was that the same or different for you?
yeah, yeah. It was, and it's deep because even as we have this convo, honey child, I'm excited for us to get back in the stew and write the accompanied version. There's a second part of this story to write, you know, and ode to black women, black femmes, you know, black maybe black mothers out, you know, maybe there's some second part to this, and I felt so honored in the ways you express your love of the black boys and black men in your life, you know, and us MCs, myself being one of them, you know, it for you to witness me and us in that way just felt powerful and beautiful. And so the story I was trying to convey was certainly from a personal standpoint, you know, of my experience growing up being a black boy and becoming a black man. And I think also I was really trying to root in the ways you saw me, you know, you see black boys and black men around you, you know, it can be hard for me to always, there's just so many messages that are planted, you know, to not see the goodness, the joy, the vibrancy of black boys and black men. And so I really felt myself, you know, it's a practice every day for me to love myself, to learn to love myself. And I was writing the love that you had in that first verse to remember my goodness, you know, my brilliance, my light, my creativity, my spirit. And so yeah, it was a love letter to me. It was a thank you to you for reflecting back to me who I really am, you know. So that's where I was.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say knowing you for so long, that really is, you know, we'll talk a little bit about like what we've done since this project, but the ways I see you create, especially in the moment, because I don't think we had much of a plan at 2026 in you know, Rich Life Studios. I think it was, hey, I wrote a hook, I'm stringing together this beat, you know, let's spend the next few minutes just writing over it and see what happens. And the ways I've seen you do that previous to 2018 and after 2018, I know for you, you're so good about taking the moment, the energy, the emotion of the moment, reflecting what's happening with your writing partner or with whoever else is in the room to put that down on paper and to, you know, put that through the mic as well. You're really good at putting like your authentic energy into the mic. Like that's something I also really appreciate about you, Duns, that I've noticed ever since ever since we've been connected and got to chat and work together and collaborate
I
together. I'm like, it's all very authentic.
Yes. What's the line I link with Honey Child to change? You know,
Yeah.
that's it's you know, linking with you was gave me life. Gave me life.
Yes, yes. Um, One question I ask myself in this series is what you would change. Like listening back, obviously it's good to be like, that was good for what it was, but now we kind of get in the moment of like, okay, well, if we were to re-record
Yeah.
this, what might we do differently?
Yeah. 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 That's such a good question. I don't know if anything's coming to mind for you.
I think I loved again that we used Theo Croker's song "It's Gonna Be All Right." I almost would want to take the sonic energy of that song and do something more original. Like I think that song, it almost reminds me of like a parade or something that you'd hear on the streets of New Orleans or something like that. Like it has that really joyful, it's very brass heavy, very simple kind of structure and format to it. So that's something that right away I'm like, I don't think I would change anything lyrically. Maybe a couple lines here or there. I might even change a couple ways that I performed it in the recording as well.
yeah.
But lyrically, I'm really happy with it. But I would be really interested in thinking about how to use and take inspiration and emulate like the sonic energy and joyfulness of the song to create something that is, you know, fully original.
Yeah. 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 Well, that makes sense and resonates, and I I'm excited to I think what I would change and slash my excitements for future collabs is one of them, which is just to have the partner song ready to rock, you know. So when this dropped, um, and maybe just have some, maybe just stay in the stew a little bit longer and kind of work out with the energy that we were in, you know, the vibe, like, because it didn't take us long to come up with what we came up with. So that's one of the things, and I think another, um, yeah, I love what you said about how you perform some of the lyrics. Yeah, maybe there's just like a few parts I would go back and like just like perform differently, or maybe double up on some lyrics to like bring more emphasis to it. You know, I don't think there's any ad libs. We kind of said it straight up, and I don't think it quite needed ad libs. But I would wonder about like, right, what if there were some lyrics that got a little bit more
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You cut out there for a second, but I'm picking up. Yeah, I think there are a little bit of ad libs toward the end of the song.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Like you're singing with me in the chorus, but I would also be curious, like if we had more time to play off of each other's lyrics a little bit, and not necessarily make it a conversation, but for me to add some ad libs into what you're doing, for you to add some ad libs into my verse, like
Yeah.
that would be interesting. And I agree, like the companion piece to this, whatever that is, it would have been really cool if we had gotten back or maybe used some of that session to brainstorm what that version of the song could have sounded like.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're coming to the end of the conversation, Duns, but I want to hear a little bit from you. As far as what we've done since, it's been such a joy to join you on your journey of your monthly mixtapes. Can you talk a little bit about the why the monthly mixtapes, what you're learning from that process of just spending 24 hours to make something and then send it off into the world with, very little edits, very little time to think? Like what possessed you to do the mixtapes?
Yeah. Yeah. You, and maybe around the time, I think it was 2017, the first time, we did a 24-hour mixtape. And right, you were in your bars bag because you had some bars on that joint too.
Yeah, episode 1 of Say More, if you're interested,
Yeah.
folks. The first time I rapped was 2017, 24-hour mixtape.
Woo! Woohoo! Yeah, really, I had realized that, and this happens to a lot of artists I talk to, that I was kind of trapped in my own process and processing of the art I was making, like the ways that I could be so meticulous and nitpicky, which has its pros, right? Has its positives, but it was really getting in the way of me putting things out into the world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, 2023, I committed to making a mixtape once a month, and the idea was to make music that my friends and family would enjoy. That was really like the at the core, and not to think much about it. Just like bring artists together that I love, try to get them in the studio. Like I wanted to work on my production. I had been taking classes, um,
Mm.
um, and I just wanted to have fun with making music. And I learned so much. I learned about collabing on a deadline. Like there's not a lot of time to be, and that was corny. That was, like, oh, that was hot. Like, let me, you just kind of be like, that was that. That bar, that flow, that note. And then, yeah, I feel like I got a lot better at producing then, and I've gone on to have the opportunity to produce some other stuff for myself or others, which has been cool. And yeah, I learned just, that art makes me feel alive, and art, specifically collaborative art, makes me feel so alive, honey child, which is why I'm excited to get in the stew with you. Because you never know what's going to happen when you have another person's ideas, expertise, playfulness, in the mix. Like it's literally limitless. And those mixtapes, I had no idea how one would from beginning to end. And you can check it out on all platforms each month of 2023.
Yeah, yeah. I love this idea of, you know, there's I know not every artist agrees on this, but this idea of once something is sent off into the world, it's partially no longer yours. It belongs to the listeners, to the viewers, whomever. That's kind of the sacrifice of art sometimes. But I love the idea of, it sounds to me like the important factors of the 24-hour mixtape is the magic that happens in that moment during the creation. And then once it's off into the world, like you said, there's really no room for the, oh, I would do that differently, or oh, I didn't like how I did that situation. Um, because in the moment when those things happen, it's really just about working in the present as much as possible. So I definitely try to take that lesson with me and just really love to see all of the production and the collaborative work that you're continuing to do as well. Like that's just so special to get a chance to like support you in that. And from the 2023 series, I believe I'm in January and March with a couple different things. So that was really great. And then we will, at some point soon, we're actually saying it this year, 2024, we'll come back with a companion piece to Black Boy Joy. And so definitely listen out for that because we are certainly not done with our collaboration.
Oh, no, not at all. You heard it here first. Say more, episode 11. Honey Child, Sterling Duns, coming through 2024. You heard.
Well, thank you so much, Duns, for joining. Thank you to all the folks that popped in and out. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Meta was on top of us as soon as we played the track. They were like, wait a minute, snatched us out. So we came back in as soon as we could, and appreciate those of you that jumped back in just to say hey, show some love, and seeing a lot of familiar faces. So this was episode 11. And then next time, next guest will be announced soon. I will definitely make sure to put this on YouTube so folks can listen back that maybe weren't able to join us tonight. Get some clips on Instagram, the whole usual. But thank y'all so much for joining this journey. So good to see y'all. Great to see you, Ricky.
Thank you.
And happy fatherhood to you.
Yes, we got some fathers on the call. What's up, broski?
Yes.
Great
Yes,
to
some
see
beautiful Black boys on the call.
you.
All right, friends. Until next time. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Peace.